Being an athlete, everybody should know the power of a team, because a good team always wins against a good individual in the long run. So athletes definitely understand the power of a team. And I always mention that people who are watching these episodes will not become professional investors, but they will be able to ask better questions their team, and they will know how to filter their team members, so they will have somebody that is keeping their back. Another thing Another thing very important is that in with one of my guests we discussed. He said that he wants to make athletes dangerous in terms of investing, because the most important thing for them to understand is that there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy, and wealth is actually created through time and compounding. And basically the athletes have the opportunity to compound the money that they're receiving and create actually wealth, but they should understand that time is essential, and it's not a 2 years time frame to become a wealthy person. So what would you say about that? That actually to build generational wealth, as you mentioned before our call, you actually need time, not just capital.
So I find that the the athletes should definitely start educating themselves when they are 17, 18, 19 years old, when they're about to be approaching their first professional contract, because minimum salaries in professional, the big four major sports leagues in the United States, minimum salaries are over $700,000. Together in Europe, when signing at 17, 18 years old, or even 19 years old, your first professional contracts, you're looking at 100K, where you're looking at 100,000 euros or of capital. So for this reason, it's crucial to start early, educating yourself on who is going to be part of my wealth team. But at the same time, I find it very interesting for there are no resources out there that specifically support athletes to help them understand how wealth is created. Because we have hosted on our media platform many wealth managers, and who have talked about the vices of professional athletes and their spending. So together with myself having lived in professional environments, you can truly tell one thing in common with those that do end up maximizing their career earnings, which is delaying gratification. And as well as we were talking about, the important point that you mentioned before is of being ruthlessly focused on your career, and on your mandate to be only the professional athlete until your playing days are over. But at the same time, having an advisor who you can trust and who is credible to show you the avenues that can happen after your career. And as the sooner you're able to get those information in and start educating yourself, the more the more years you play, the more you start um, building an identity of how can you create value after your playing days are over, or even start creating that value while you're an athlete in your prime. Because if you start learning it when you're 22, 21 years old, you can already start projecting in if any uncertainty happens, like I have an injury or the coaches next seasons don't want me, but I'm building a wealth plan that I know in 3 years I can own my own sports team, or I can own my video game company, or I have my media platform. Then you are less likely, when you're going to be toward your last years of your careers, to be worried about what are you going to do if you're not going to be able to play anymore.
Okay. And you mentioned something important. I want to dig a little bit deeper, and that's delayed gratification. When you're young, and I totally get that, immediately when you start to receive, when you see a lot of zeros in your contract, you immediately want to improve your lifestyle